Numbers can tell a powerful story. Like 1946, the year Alpha Insurance was founded, or the more than 1 million policies currently in force. Backed up by superior service from a local agent right in your community. For 65 years, we've been right there with you. We're looking forward to the next 65.
For a plan built just for you, contact Lesia Coleman in Holly Pond.
Hi, I'm Leah Patterson-Lust. I'm Cullman County's probate judge. It has been an honor to serve the people of Cullman County through the probate judge's office over the last 6 years. November 6th, 2012, voters will go to the polls and will make a decision about who they want to serve as Cullman County's probate judge over the next 6 years.
Class 5A Region 8 football from West Point Stadium. The West Point Warriors and the Athens Golden Eagles. Athens took control of the game in the first quarter with a couple of touchdown drives, consuming 74 and 44 yards and led 14-0. Then it was time for the Warriors to get the ball down the field and possible score. Taking it from their 40-yard line, they drove late in the first half, took it down inside the 5-yard line. Unfortunately, a bad snap out of the shotgun formation into the hands of quarterback Bryant Farley wound up being an 85-yard fumble return for Valderia Collier, and Athens led 20-0 with time winding down in the first half. Then the Warriors got the ball with 2 minutes to go until halftime. Started from the 26, took it down the field with several key passes from Farley, and they wound up getting a field goal of 27 yards from Wesley Smith and cut the deficit to 20-3 at intermission. But once again, taking control of the football in the third quarter, the Warriors turned it over inside the Athens 10-yard line as Jared McClellan went 95 yards on a fumble return, and the Golden Eagles extended the lead to 27-3. Once again, West Point was able to take the football and march it down the field and finally got the ball into the end zone on a 6-yard touchdown pass from Bryant Farley to Tristan Dudley. The 2-point conversion failed, and the Warriors were down 27-9, 8 seconds into the fourth quarter. But it was a 65-yard scoring pass on the next series by the Golden Eagles that put the game out of reach. Athens wins it 41-9, dropping the Warriors to 0-1 in 5A Region 8 play. Through the first 3 quarters of play, the Warriors had 292 yards of offense and 17 first downs in comparison to 128 yards of offense by Athens and only 4 first downs. But the 2 turnovers and the inability to get the ball to the end zone when it had scoring opportunities was a difference in keeping West Point out of the win column in the first week of regional play.
In the nation, we can't make every annoying thing disappear, but we can eliminate deductibles. Nationwide insurance members who add vanishing deductible get $100 off for every year of safe driving. Join the nation where deductibles go.
Nationwide is on your side.
Today's obituaries are brought to you by Moss Service and Hansville Funeral Home. Funeral services for Emery Willard Strickland, age 83 of Bremen, will be held tomorrow at 2 p.m. at Kenny Grove Baptist Church in Bremen. Reverends Larry Duke and Dylan Calvert officiate entombment in the Cullman Memory Gardens Mausoleum. The body will lie in state 1 hour prior to service. Hansville Funeral Home directing. Mr. Strickland passed away yesterday. That's a look at the obituaries for today, brought to you by Moss Service and Hansville Funeral Home.
Welcome to Today on 2. It is Thursday, the 13th day of September, partly cloudy in Cullman, Alabama. Welcome if you're watching streaming on the internet. We stream our program every day at channel2cullman.com, and the program is also archived on YouTube. Go to the same website and you can watch previous episodes if you missed something. If you want to know who won the birthday last week, things like that, you can look at it on YouTube and see the show. Well, let's see. Let's start with the weather forecast page. Our weather is brought to you by Mitch Smith Chevrolet on Cherokee Avenue. Make the switch to Mitch. The weather almanac for the 13th of September. The average high temperature is 87. The average low is 60. Record high 98 in 98. Record low 42 in 1940. Sunset this evening at 6:56 and sunrise tomorrow morning at broadcast time at 6:30. There's the satellite picture. You can see that storm front moving slowly through the Midwest all the way from Wisconsin to Texas, it looks like. We have one more satellite picture to show you. There's over the southeast, and we should see sunny skies. Partly cloudy today is the forecast, high around 84. Partly cloudy tonight, low near 61. Slight chance of rain tomorrow, otherwise partly sunny, high of 82. 81 on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, it's about the same every day. Slight chance of rain, otherwise sunny skies, low humidity, beautiful weather for the middle of September. Yesterday was a nice day.
It was. It was very beautiful.
We did have some cloud cover. Kind of surprised us for a while, but otherwise it cleared off. And, partly cloudy day yesterday.
It's so sad that we all have to stay inside on such beautiful days. Well, maybe not all of us. Maybe that's just me. But I work at the aquatic center, so all those big windows are just open to the whole outside world, and you just want to be outside.
So you can see out windows?
Yes.
Okay. I thought maybe you were all in, that you didn't have windows, didn't know what was going on outside.
It's beautiful there.
So you can see it and say, oh, I wish I was at the pool. Mm-hmm. The pool is what, open on weekends now or not at all?
Not at all. We're closed for the season now. We closed on Labor Day, but it's still very beautiful at the aquatic center.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can still use the pool and the activities inside, that's for sure. We want to talk a little bit today about our artwork.
Yes, we forgot to mention this beautiful artwork behind us was done by John Socks. We're trying to feature local artists every month on our show. So, yes, he does a wonderful, wonderful job. And he actually taught my brother Wade when he was younger to paint. So
we had artwork from Pam Willingham last month.
Yes.
And John Socks providing artwork, and we're going to change it out from time to time, featuring local artists. Let you see their work.
Yes.
I had heard recently that anybody who has artistic ability, it carries over beyond what they're known for. For instance, Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett are quite good painters.
Really?
As well as singers.
That's new information for me.
So I wanted to know what other artistic talents you have. Obviously, Paige is a beautiful singer and dancer. You do painting?
No, I mean, I do arts and crafts a lot. I can be crafty, but painting is definitely not my forte. My grandmother, though, Rebecca Branch, she is actually a beautiful painter, and that's something that a lot of people don't know about her. But she has beautiful, beautiful paintings. Maybe we could even feature one of them on our show.
Sure. That would be good. You do arts and crafts, but, well, the thing of it is there's so many different types of art.
Right.
A lot of things you can do. We have a busy program lined up for today. We'll tell you about that. But first of all, let's look at our Facebook friend of the day. I think it's somebody that we know. We sure do.
Yes, our Facebook friend of the day today is Ron Dunn, and he likes the TV series Lost and country music.
And Johnny's Barbecue. You can find him there quite a bit at Johnny's Barbecue. Thank you, Ron, our Facebook friend of the day. Now, who's coming to see us today?
Miss Lesia Coleman from the Cullman County Public Library is coming to see us, and she's going to be talking about our book club and maybe some more events that are going on right now at the library.
Okay, that's what we have lined up. George Spear is here with news and commentary right after this.
Fire, accident, storm, they all happen in Cullman County. And for 3 generations, Night Free Insurance has been there for you. Continuing today with Elliott and Westcott Free, customizing your life, home, auto, and business insurance with auto owners. Call Westcott, Elliott, Judy, Tina, Angie, or Karen. Night Free Insurance, where people are the difference.
I'm open for opinion, Sergeant. What's yours? Well, I figure we have about an hour and a half.
Before what?
We know what's back there coming our way. Tanks. When they catch up to us, we'll be sitting ducks. Period.
Combat. A Selmer production.
If you're looking for the ride of your life, you'll find it at Billy Ray Taylor Auto Sales in Cullman. I'm talking about sharp cars and trucks that'll get you noticed and deals too low to believe. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it and find it for less at Billy Ray Taylor Auto Sales. Come on, North Alabama. It's time you had a sharp set of wheels and a really good deal. Billy Ray Taylor Auto Sales, serving you from 2 big lots, Highway 31 North and 31 South in Cullman, Alabama.
In the nation, we can't make every annoying thing disappear, but we can eliminate deductibles. Nationwide insurance members who add vanishing deductible get $100 off for every year of safe driving. Join the nation where deductibles go.
Nationwide is on your side.
Time for news and comment. We welcome your thoughts, comments. Just give us a call at that number. Of course, we're live streaming on channel2cullman.com. You can find us, y'all, on this Thursday. Interesting news. To begin with, let's just say this. 4 people from Cullman County filing suit against the city of Hanceville. Say what? Against Hanceville and 26 other Alabama cities regarding going wet, saying it's invalid. It violates the Constitution of Alabama by changing the size of the city and allowing those smaller cities to vote on a referendum. We're talking about last week 4 plaintiffs, Jeremy Edelman, David Holmes, Jason Hunt, and Gregory Shedd filing suit, saying that it's not valid because it violates our Constitution to allow the smaller cities to vote like that. Interesting. Sometimes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to something like that, don't you? Members of the Cullman Narcotics Enforcement Team, CNET, arrived with warrants yesterday morning, 10th Avenue Southeast area in Cullman, arresting 3 people for guns, drugs, and such. No names.
It's interesting how sometimes it takes so long to get names. Maybe this morning they'll release those names, but oftentimes you don't get that. And I'm not really sure, in a legal sense, why it takes so long. I mean, it's not like there's a death and you have to notify next of kin, right? So that's one of those things I've always wondered about, why it takes so long to get names. And it's not just the city, it's the county also. Also, you know, this is interesting to me because I think that that it's quite significant that a small issue like a September 18th referendum is getting so much attention. And why? Because you have not everybody on the same page. For example, Senator Paul Busman on our show Friday, That's Politics, last week, talking about his efforts to not allow or not to persuade people not to vote for the September 18th referendum, saying, please don't take money out of our trust fund. He says that's not the way to go. Well, apparently on Paul Busman's Facebook this weekend, he posted this kind of information. And I thought it was quite striking. He says, I guess I have hit the target on the trust fund issue. Busman says the robocalls across my district started immediately on Friday with personal attacks against me, not informational, to educate the public. He says, when you can't justify your position, attack the person. He calls this Obama tactics, which basically I think he's right. Intimidation, scare tactics, half-truths. He says last Thursday there was a state contract request for $1.3 million for Weight Watchers. He says during a budget crisis, the state's going to buy Weight Watchers program? He says, you got to be kidding me. He goes on to say that early retirement, in other words, state employees' early retirement saves $68 million to $95 million. Now, he's giving ways to save money so that we don't have to take money out of this trust fund. He says electronic funds transfers save $48 million if people go to that instead of taking and having to mail a check, you know. He says we're already over the top now talking about these two cuts alone without having touched Medicaid or prisons, he says. It's estimated through independent research, Busman says, that $90 million savings if we eliminate Medicaid waste, not critical services, just the waste part. I spoke yesterday morning about how the children of illegal immigrants use a Medicaid card to show identification when they get their driver's license at our courthouse. What are they doing with Medicaid? And why are they getting all these tax refunds when they don't even pay taxes? Hello? Anybody home? Unspent tobacco settlement money, he says, will account for $12 million. Electronic timekeeping, direct deposit will save another $10 million. And he goes on. He says, I'm going to ask the Secretary of State to give me the PAC report, Political Action Committee report, on who's contributing to this effort to pass this. He says, that'll tell us a lot about the special interest groups. And you are probably, or if not a friend or relative of yours, has already gotten some of this mail, correspondence, brochures, pamphlets, efforts to get you. And you know what makes this really kind of sad is this.
Friends in the area.
This story. Birmingham News this morning. Birmingham News. They say this. For one penny, a political candidate or even a private company can buy from the state the name, address, even your cellular telephone number if a person submitted it. Any registered voter. If you register to vote anywhere in the state or you have any kind of document, legal document, you put on your cell phone number, it is available, which may be why some people are getting these robocalls on their cell phone. For $30,000, a political candidate can get the whole database. That's 3 million voters in Alabama. The state's selling your name and their dignity, I guess. I don't know. They say the money goes to help the voter registration effort. And we're what? Buying Weight Watchers programs for our employees. Oh, man. The number of people who have bank accounts is on the rise or don't have bank accounts. We were talking about that a second. Electronic fund transfers, you know, direct deposit. But now more people in America are not trusting banks or otherwise. They just want to get the cash, take the money and run. And it's growing. That number is. I remember many times when I was a kid coming to Cullman on a Saturday morning, going to Leith Bank so my dad could take his civil servant He was a civil servant at Redstone Arsenal and cashed his check. I don't think my dad ever wrote a check, and my mother did only because Social Security started requiring it sometime back in the 80s or so. Can't remember. During a morning show yesterday morning, one radio host out in L.A., I believe is where it was, asked if Ayatollah Ali Khamenei or Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is more dangerous. In other words, he's saying that the Israeli Prime Minister is more dangerous than Iran leadership. Can you believe this? This is where our media is headed. An NPR reporter last week at a Romney event refused to stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. Refused to stand and pledge allegiance. He says it's so fascist. You know, those kind of people know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Where do they think they live? If they lived in a fascist state, they certainly wouldn't be doing that. How many people raised their hand and salute and Heil Hitler? And if you didn't, what happened to you? That's fascism. In San Antonio, Texas, an endangered eyeless spider has stopped production and building of a $15 million project. When you cross the T's and dot the I's, or pay attention to those without eyes, I guess, when it comes to spiders, then it's amazing how you can quickly stop anything. This snail garter was an endangered species in Alabama. You know what we should do is gather all these things up that are endangered and let's take them to Iran. Democratic officials now apologizing yesterday for mistakenly displaying an image of the Russian Navy. I know you had to have heard about this. During the Democratic National Convention, they did a tribute to the military, and that was noble. Except that the big pictures behind the admiral who was talking about the sacrifices of our military, those ships were Russian ships. Who didn't do their homework? Who did not do their homework? The number one cause of lung cancer among non-smokers. The number one cause of cancer among non-smokers is what? I'd say secondhand smoke. Not according to the EPA, radon. R-A-D-O-N. We've heard about this. Radon gas. Odorless, tasteless, don't even know it's there. For $15, I bought a test to see if it's in my house. The folks at Wallace, not at Wallace, but up in Calhoun Community College, are having to basically treat a building because it's inside the building. It comes from decaying waste, radium, I guess. I can't remember all the elements that cause this. But it's not a pretty sight. I don't know. I'm still going to see it. And once you have it, what do you do? I mean, how do you get rid of it? Number of pump and runs is increasing again in Decatur. 6 in the past couple of days. People will say, I don't want to pay the price of gas. Let's take it and go. And in Decatur, in the Tennessee River, right underneath the railroad bridge, they found a body last night. Aren't we glad we don't have a river? Aren't we glad we don't have the kind of problems that they do in larger cities? To help celebrate the 50th anniversary of James Bond, they're releasing all the Bonds in Blu-ray. I saw a cute little, it was a montage of clips of car chases of all the Bonds. Even Lazenby, right? Oh, it's a little clever thing that they did. But they're selling one of these Aston Martins that one of the Bonds had. I always wanted one. I always thought that the guy in Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate was driving one of those. I kept looking for one. In fact, I wound up with a British Leyland little product called a Spitfire, which was the worst vehicle I've ever owned in my life. Nowhere near a James Bond kind of thing. And the devil's in the details when. The devil is in the details when. The people who know more about television viewing than anyone else, the Nielsen's ratings company, when those people tell you that on their research, blacks spend an average of 210 hours a month watching TV. That's 210 among blacks. Whites, 153 hours a month. Latinos, down to 131 hours a month. And Asians, only 100 hours a month. Now we wonder why we have such an entitlement society, why this guy has advertisements and billboards saying that he can represent you, in case you have been done wrong, an accident, or medicine's messed you up. The devil is in the details, unfortunately, when it comes to issues like this. But it says a lot. That's the elephant in the room that no one talks about. An idle mind is the devil's workshop, as Granny said. Stay tuned, more up to date after this.
Of your life, you'll find it at Billy Ray Taylor Auto Sales in Cullman. I'm talking about sharp cars and trucks that'll get you noticed and deals too low to believe. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it, and find it for less at Billy Ray Taylor Auto Sales. Come on, North Alabama, it's time you had a sharp set of wheels and a really good deal. Billy Ray Taylor Auto Sales, serving you from two big lots, Highway 31 North and 31 South in Cullman, Alabama.
Charles B. Wooster, and I come from Mound City.
I know your name, Private. What I mean is, what kind of work have you done, if any?
Oh, all kinds.
Well, what, for instance?
Well, I've cleaned out livery stables and swept out saloons, butchered cattle, and I was a cook.
A what?
Cook.
You mean a cook?
Yes, sir. I was a chief cook for the Benton Mining Company. And then one night after dinner, poor old Mr. Benton, God rest his soul, he up and died on me.
Welcome back to Today on 2. We're going to talk about the Cullman Public Library today. Lesia Coleman is our guest to bring us up to date with what's going on at the library. Hi, Lisa.
Good morning.
Good
Hi,
to have
Mr.
you on the
Borman.
program.
Thank you for asking us.
Paige wrote down that you have a book club, and I did not know the library had a book club. Tell us about this.
Well, the book club is called the Knit One, Read Two. It was originally designed for folks that are interested that like to do handiwork. Mostly, well, we started off with knitters and crocheters, but we have other people come in with things, and we have people that come in that are like me, that just love to observe, but not really artsy-craftsy. We have been doing it a little more than 5 years now. We kind of got our idea. We went to the Madison County. We went to Madison Public Library, and we saw them and how they operated their book club, and we came through and came back and worked on it, decided we wanted to do that ourselves. We meet one Wednesday a month, second Wednesday of each month. We start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We provide little light refreshments and everything, and everybody's welcome to come. I usually pick out the books. Sometimes folks do give suggestions, but they generally like for me to pick out the books. I do stay away from political things and everything, but we do a variety of things. We just finished up yesterday. We met. We had Honolulu by Alan Brennart, which is historical fiction. When we come back in October, second Wednesday in October, we're going to be doing a book called Calling Invisible Women by Jenny Ray. And she is dealing with a novel where the lady wakes up one day and she discovers she has become invisible. Then she finds out even worse, she's invisible more ways than one. And she's trying to combat that. In November, we're going to be doing something dealing in regards to fiction in regards to The Hotel at the Corner of Bitter and Sweet by Jamie Ford. This book is a little bit different. Lots of times we see stories from a woman's point of view. This is going to be an elderly man's point of view. It's located and set in Seattle, Washington. He is a Chinese American, and he's trying to explain to his college-age child what it's like to have been a Chinese American in the days of World War II. He was a young child at that time, and at that time that they were actually, folks were looking at them and deciding they were Japanese and the heavy persecution they received. But there's also a romance involved in regards to Japanese American of today. In December, we're going to be doing Lost December, which is a book that Richard Paul Evans did. It came out last year. It is kind of a 21st century telling of the prodigal son. A little bit with the technology involved and the things going on, but yet so much also the same problems that we saw in Jesus' day. And then in January, we're going to be doing this little light, love-inspired novel, this real popular series kind of books by Brenda Coulter called Finding Hope. And yes, it has room, a little humor, it has a little love, but it also has comfort and warmth in the story, and it also kind of makes you think about things.
Question I have about the book club. How does everybody get a copy of the book to read?
Well, I don't try to buy new books. I will say that Calling Invisible Women is a new book, and it's still in hardback. We also have Chameleonet, which is content reserve books, ebooks, and everything.
Sure. Okay.
And we participate along with ebooks. The library is one of the early runners here in the state. We've been doing ebooks long before the word Kindle came around, but it really didn't become really popular until the Kindle came up. And we try to get things that's on content reserve that way for people. And we generally try to buy 4 to 5 copies ourselves. And so people check out, and then they read it, bring it back, and somebody else can check it out.
Well, they know that somebody else is going to want to read it.
True.
So I imagine you read it as quickly as you can.
Sure. And everything.
So how did you pick the books that you picked?
Oh, well, some of the ladies that attend the group, I kind of know a little bit of their taste. I try to look and see what's forthcoming, what is being discussed, and maybe some of the southern. We have some really good southern websites like Okra Picks and so forth. And then, well, for instance, Calling Invisible Women, I had read some of her other books. The Corner of Bitter and Sweet, co-worker at work talked about how good this book was. She really wasn't expecting something from an older man's point of view. Lost December, when the book first came out last year, Richard Paul Evans is a real popular writer. He did the Christmas book, they made movies. We've had a variety of women that liked it. I was surprised, one lady that totally not her to taste told me, she said, well, that's really a good book. And I thought, that's really good things. Sometimes local writers, Alabama writers. We, in the past, did What Keys Alabama Moon. He won an award on that. Really popular with both men and women, all ages. So. And I know you like to read, Mr. Warwick.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It looked like everything that you were talking about was fiction. Do you do nonfiction once in a while?
Yes, I do. I do try to. We just, earlier the year, we did a book called She, S-H-E, by Catherine Tucker Wyndham. And I don't know, perhaps maybe, Paige, you may be familiar with her. She died just about a couple of years ago, but she was the state's storyteller. She did the Jeffrey books, but she wrote a little group of essays and novels talking about herself as an older woman, an older person, and she blamed everything on her alter ego, she, when everything went wrong. So yeah, we talked about it, kind of doing that in homage of Miss Wyndham and everything, but we do pick out nonfiction.
Do you do like the real popular bestseller. Hunger Games is what comes to mind, so many people read that. Would that be the type of book you would do from time to time?
Oh, well, we did Harry Potter at the beginning of the year.
Okay, same thing.
So, yeah, I was even considering doing the Hunger Games. I do know of another book club in town. They are going to be doing the Hunger Games.
Okay.
I mean, that is really attracted both sexes and variety of ages for the Hunger Games, and especially since the movie just came out on DVD. But yes, we have a pretty long list right now of folks wanting the Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay.
Right.
So we're having trouble. We've got to go buy more copies of it to help what the people need and what they're wanting for at the library. And you said something about other programs we were doing at the library.
Yeah.
We do have the Nifty Knitters. It kind of spun off from our book club, and they meet on Tuesdays. People can come and learn how to crochet and to knit. And they meet every Tuesday, and they're just now starting. Now it's I'm not doing the club, but they're trying to get a little book club started for the American Girl. The Juvenile American Girl series with all the different the different based on the different dolls and time periods in history. They're going to be doing that beginning on Monday afternoon for the children.
Yes, I loved American Girl when I was younger, so that'll be great.
And now they have I think Kirsten was one of the original characters in the dolls, and now they have like Kaya, which is a Native American Indian. It may be Sioux, I'm not sure which, but it's a Western Plains Indian and everything. So they're going to be talking about that, and I heard possibly they may be doing something involving boys with Hank the Cow Dog. And then that writer actually came to Cullman County quite a few years ago to talk to the children in schools about writing.
So you've chosen to surround your life with books. I'm always interested to know what your favorite book is.
My favorite book? Oh my. Oh, I've done quite a few different ones. Actually, I don't want to say it's my very favorite, but Finding Hope, that was one reason why I chose it, because I had come across a used copy of it. It's by Brenda Coulter. And I had read it and reread it so many times that it literally fell apart and everything. And so I found another copy the other day, and I loaned it to a friend. And she's like, oh, Lisa, that was just the best book. It reminded me, she had recently had a death in her family, or her grandpa in essence. And she's like, oh, he sounded so much like my grandpa. And I thought, I think the other people could maybe benefit. So that was one. As a child, I read from the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler by E.L. Coensberg. To me, it was a great story about children that deliberately run away and spend the summer at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. Of course, people, it's not too realistic, but especially in the daytime, the children, she chose her little brother because he had money. He would make his money from playing card games, and he had the money, and they ran away, and they would, in the daytime, they would wander around with the school group and learn all this information about Egyptian and mummies and different time periods of history. And then supposedly at night when the museum closed, and they would take their baths in the fountain of the Museum of Art, and they would sleep on the beds and things like that. Of course, it's not realistic, but it's a neat story though.
Tell us a little bit how the Kindle books works.
The Kindle books, now we have Kindles and Nooks. I'm more comfortable with the Kindles. If you have a library card, you just come up, you can use it with that. Your library card has to be up to date, and it can't have anything out that may be overdue. You could go onto our webpage, which is ccpls.com, and we have a little a thing you can click on called e-Audible Books. It's actually something called Chameleonet or Content Overdrive. We share that in Alabama with many, many other libraries. Orange Beach was one of the first ones to go on. I believe Carl Elliott in Walker County has that now. And then it would let you would log on with your card. It will let you search. There's many different types of devices, as y'all know, that you can put your items on other than Kindles. There's Blackberries, Pods, and so forth. And you can tell the card catalog what device you want to use, and then you can select it, and you can put in a really popular, like James Patterson. The really, really popular ones usually are you going to find are checked out and have holds on them. And that's the case, that's okay. You can go ahead, you can put your number in saying that you want to have a hold on it, and if the item is checked out, it will see, you include your email, and then when it's your turn for the particular item, they will send you an email, and you get 48 items to go back into CameliaNet and to check it out. You decide if you want to keep it for 1 week or 2 weeks. And if it's a Kindle, usually it will let you even check it in early if you want. You can have up to 5 items at a time. And then like I said, you decide what time period you want to check it out, whether it's 1 week or 2 weeks, and sometimes you could turn them in early. And then when you tell it you want to check it out on the internet, it automatically goes over to Amazon, and then you have to have your Kindle registered with Amazon with your email and everything, and then it lets you retrieve and check it out on your machine. But it is, I like it because it's done wirelessly, and I think that's really when it took off with the Kindle, when they went to the wireless thing and did it so easy. It's very quick and easy to do. We have Wi-Fi at the Cullman Library, and I know that they also have it at the Hansel branch, but we have Wi-Fi at the Cullman branch, so people can come up there and then they can actually put the item on their Kindle, and we also have a laptop. It's really easier to go onto a physical computer and choose it and tell it to download to your Kindle and everything, but we have, you can do that. And even when the library is closed, we have our Wi-Fi going 24/7.
Well, okay, to make sure I understand, but you can do this at home.
Oh, sure,
on
sure,
the internet,
sure,
as
no
long as you have a
problem.
library card.
Yes, correct.
And,
you have to have a library card. It
device.
has to be up to date. That library card not be. This is a bad term, but we say every 2 years we expire our patrons. All right, or what we do is we say we want you to come in to double check before you check out a book. We check to be sure we've still got your correct name, address, phone number, because in this day and time, lots of people don't have landlines anymore, and they change their cell phone company. So we try to do that. And as long as the card is up to date and there's nothing out and overdue on their card, that's it. The plus is, since we use all these other libraries, then everybody puts in so much money. And so we can all check out books that maybe Carl Elliott bought for their patrons. But the minus is there's going to be so many people waiting in line, but lots of times if they're like me, I don't think a thing about that book again, and it may be my hold on it may lapse and may go to somebody else. So you actually get the book sooner than you might anticipate it to. So a lot of people like it, especially when they're traveling.
Yeah, we're all out of time, but Lisa, come back and see us again.
Oh, I'll be glad to.
Good information
Thank
today.
you so much for having us. Thank you.
We'll have more of Today on 2 coming up next.
All right.
At Premier Bank, we're a bit old-fashioned. We actually answer the telephone when you call. However, old-fashioned doesn't mean we aren't up to date. With the latest technology, Premier Bank meets the various needs of our customers. Mobile smartphone banking, internet banking, ATMs, convenient offices. At Premier Bank, we have the right products right now with good old-fashioned customer service. At Premier Bank, we put the customer first.
Overwhelmed by home refinancing offers from telephone solicitors and direct mail advertising, and then find you're not qualified for a specific plan? The Mortgage Center, a hometown lender, compares the rates from all home loan lenders and the qualifications of the various government programs to find a plan best suited to you. The Mortgage Center helps Cullman County people purchase and refinance their homes.
This is Pat Newton. Call us today and let us tailor a loan program to your specific needs and requirements.
Meet the KitchenAid 36-inch induction cooktop. It might just change the way you cook. Induction technology heats the pan and not the cooking surface to offer you a new level of precision, speed, and energy efficiency. 9 settings give you different levels of heat to achieve precise temperatures and amazing responsiveness. Water boils in just seconds, making this the fastest to boil induction cooktop available. The KitchenAid 36-inch induction cooktop.
I'm Ringo.
can I do for you?
Well, my name's Merlin, Pat Merlin. This is my son, Hank. We come a long way, Mr. Ringo. The boy here's gonna kill you.
Welcome back to Today on 2. We need to give away some prizes. What do you say?
Yes.
We have coffee from Gelato Joe's in the Warehouse District, one of our most popular prizes, and that goes along with KSW colored salt. Add some color to your diet. And 2 tickets to the Colin Ray concert coming up next Tuesday, part of the community concert series at the Betty Lee Thanes Theater at Wallace State College. So 3 good prizes for you for today. Let's look at those merchant ads. Starting with Shimmer and Glow Tanning Boutique. Open 8 till 8 Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 on Saturday. All types of tanning are available. They provide child care. If you need to have a place for the youngster to hang out while you're tanning, Shimmer and Glow.
Open the door to history and fine prints. We're talking about Renard's Gallery and Gifts. They offer jewelry, framing, and prints. And they are located on 1st Avenue on the web at renardsgallery.com.
Kick off the fall season at It's My Party. Tailgating parties, they have all occasion balloons. You can even book Lulu the Gorilla to show up for special occasions. It's My Party.
All it takes is charisma and Doug Doggett Jewelers. Women change their hairstyles, clothes, and minds, so why not change their jewelry? Right now, it's for the bride, from classic to modern quality fit for a queen at Doug Doggett Jewelers.
Baldwin Counseling Center. Need to talk? Want some privacy? Help is a phone call away. Dr. Howard Rogers. Solving problems one at a time. Call 256-737-3087.
Fitness opportunities are available at the Wellness and Aquatic Center. Day passes are available, and you can visit us at ColemanWellness.com or 775-SWIM.
Mullins Body Shop, located at Phelan. 52 years they've been doing auto body repair and towing. Call them if you need their services today. 256-734-1353.
Sweet deals are available at Dairy Queen. Ask for any 2 for $3.33 or any 3 for $4.44. The September Blizzard is the Oreo Blizzard, and you can buy one and get one for 99 cents.
High Tide Sports Grill on Highway 31 by Burgess Body Shop. And tonight is bike night. Friday night is shrimp night. That will be open till 10 o'clock Friday night. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. to watch football. There we go with some of our merchant ads. Tell us the question for today: who has Pima cotton shirts at 20% off? They're on sale now. Pima cotton shirts are available at which one of our advertisers? Our phone number, 256-734-7399. And you win all of the prizes that we have for today. Coffee from Gelato Joe's, the KSW colored salt, and 2 tickets to the Colin Ray concert coming up next Tuesday night. One of the best country entertainers from several years ago. We have a caller. Hello, who's calling?
Rita.
Hi, Rita. From where are you calling?
Garden City.
Garden City. Okay. Who has Pima cotton shirts?
Is it Mr. Hicks?
Yes, Mr. Hicks Menswear. They're on sale, too. Stay on the line, Rita. Thanks for calling in. Mr. Hicks Menswear. Matter of fact, I got a couple of those pullover shirts. Very, very comfortable. Good-looking turtleneck shirts, what they are. Let's look at the rest of the merchant ads, the Mr. Hicks ads, and the rest of them. Tires for Less, more than just tires. They have 80 years experience of servicing cars. They can take care of whatever problem you might have. Great service at a good price. Tires for Less.
The crew that stands behind you when you need them the most is Earl's Body Shop. They want to remind you to move over for all emergency vehicles. They will offer large and small towing, local or long distance, and you can go see them on Highway 31 North.
Tutor Doctor, we make house calls. They will do tutoring in your home at your convenience, whatever the needs may be, both for students and for adults. Call the Tutor Doctor.
Save as much as 50%. New to Cullman is the Hydro Master Tire at People's Tire. It looks like new and wears like new. It's premium quality, and People's Tire is on Cuthman Street.
Festal Market Plots is open at 8 o'clock today. They'll be open again on Saturday, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, located at the corner of Arnold Street and 1st Avenue.
Deb's Bookstore, your hometown bookstore just down the road. They have used books for half price every day and new books for 20% off every day. Browsers are welcome and gift certificates are available at Deb's Bookstore.
Mr. Plumber, Coleman's only professional full-service plumbing, sewer, and drain company, locally owned and operated, offering fast 24-hour service. Call Mr. Plumber.
Mr. Hicks Menswear offers business, men's suits, and sport coats. Regular, big, and tall sizes are available. He's won the Reader's Choice Award for men's clothing, and they have business and casual shirts.
And the fabulous fall fashions available at Uniform Place. More complete outfits and flexible styles than ever before. Uniform Place on 2nd Avenue Southeast. There we go with some of our merchant ads. And now it's time to check the birthday list for the 13th of September.
And Drew Berry and Scott Robinson celebrate a birthday on this Thursday. Happy birthday to you. And they will go in our drawing for the possibility of winning an 8x10 portrait from Baker Photography and our ice cream cake from Dairy Queen. We'll draw for that on Friday.
Weather forecast brought to you by Mitch Smith Chevrolet on Cherokee Avenue. Make the switch to Mitch. Here's the forecast. Partly cloudy today. High once again about 84. Partly cloudy tonight. Low of 61. Partly sunny tomorrow. Maybe a chance of an afternoon shower with a high near 82.
Cheyenne, Cheyenne, where will you be camping tonight? Lonely man, Cheyenne, will your heart stay free and light? Dream, Cheyenne, of a girl you may never love. Move along, Cheyenne, like the restless clouds up above.
At Premier Bank, we take pride in serving our community. We respect our customers, and we've won awards for our ethical conduct. We're motivated to do all we can for you, and we're interested in your banking needs. We're efficient, safe, and sound, and our relationships with our customers are second to none.
At Premier Bank, we put the customer first.
There's stuff around your house, but we don't make stuff. We make ovens. Dual fuel, double ovens. And they bake so evenly that now delicious is something you can depend on. We only make things for one room. The best room. Your kitchen. We're devoted to it. And you can feel it in everything we make. Nobody knows the kitchen like KitchenAid.
Overwhelmed by home refinancing offers from telephone solicitors and direct mail advertising, and then find you're not qualified for a specific plan? The Mortgage Center, a hometown lender, compares the rates from all home loan lenders and the qualifications of the various government programs to find a plan best suited to you. The Mortgage Center helps Cullman County people purchase and refinance their homes.
This is Pat Newton. Call us today and let us tailor a loan program to your specific needs and requirements.
Friends in the area probably call her Reba Ponder. Reba Ponder Weiss is our guest today. Reba, good to have you on the program today.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
And you ran off and married a guy by the name of Joseph Weiss, is that right?
Yeah, he's a Yankee, but don't hold it against him, okay? He's a country boy at heart. He really is.
Yes, in fact, I was trying to figure out where he's from because you brought him in with you this morning, and he opened his mouth. I said, I know. We know you're not from the South.
No, not from the South.
But I love it. I love that accent.
Yes, I do too. It's so funny to have the roles reversed for us because most of the time, you know, it's me. The minute I open my mouth, people, you're not from around here, are you? But the minute he opens his mouth, they're like, you're not from around here. Where are you from?
Right. And you've been on this book tour, so...
Yes, we've been here since August the 4th, and we've just been on a whirlwind. I love it, though. I love coming home. I love being back in the South. I love being around my family and all my friends, and just, I mean, there's just been an outpouring of people coming out to the book signings and just, you know, people I haven't seen in 30 years. Just, you know, thank goodness for Facebook, because a lot of times I'm like, oh, that's her, you know. But it's been great. Go ahead.
We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but I really kind of wanted to focus on the fact that you are from here, from the South. So where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Jones Chapel.
actually Chance's Crossroads.
Okay.
It's about 12 miles west of Cullman, and my mom and dad had a farm out there, and I lived there till I was 25 years old, and went to Sanford University and West Point High School and Jones Chapel Junior High. I was part of the feeder schools, where you fed into the high schools.
Right.
And then I moved away, and I've lived in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Columbus, Georgia, upstate New York, and I finally landed up on Long Island, New York, and that's where I'm living right now. I live near the Hamptons. I work in the Hamptons. I live in a little town right outside of Southampton, New York, and so I get to see a lot of famous people all the time, and I'll be at the red light and someone will be there, like, I don't know, like Steven Spielberg or something, I'll be like, hey. I think that's Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. Don't panic.
Don't panic. The other day I saw Johnny Depp, and he was in a Jeep driving down the beach road, and I thought, is that Johnny Depp? And like, yeah, that's Johnny Depp. Wow, okay.
Yeah,
that's
so that's
cool.
kind of cool.
Yeah, it is.
Well, what prompted you to write a book? I mean, it sounds like that's really not what you're doing for.
It's not what I do for a living. I'm just going to tell you, it's always been in me. My grandmother was a fantastic storyteller, and all the people in my families are, they're fantastic storytellers. And I just, it just was ingrained in me. Like my grandmother used to take me out under the pecan tree and tell me all these fascinating stories about when she was in the Depression and, how things were. My dad tells me stories all the time about when he was in World War II, and he was actually in Hiroshima and Nagasaki right after the bomb was dropped there. It's really scary. It was only like 6 months after the bomb was dropped, and just the stories, they're so rich and so deep and so, interesting. And I'm kind of tired of all these stories that have all this graphic violence and foul language and, all this sexual content and everything. That's just, you don't need that if you've got a good story. And I just had some stories inside of me, and I've always been a real avid dreamer. I've had these real vivid dreams all my life, and I started journaling those when I was in my teens. And so when I go back and I want to write a story, I look through that journal. I make sketches and everything. I look through that journal, and that gives me kind of a basis. And then I just go from there. And it's...
Now, this is your first book,
It is my first book.
Okay.
It is. The first published book. I mean, I've written other things, but this is the first thing I've actually published.
Reba, I'm always curious when I talk to authors about the difficulty of getting a book published.
Okay.
Tell us your experience.
Well, I'm going to tell you, at first I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if, some big publishing house picked me up, and, you just get stars in your eyes thinking, oh, it could be the next big, Harry Potter or whatever.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is most authors, especially first-time authors, they're more in that middle range, and if you can get to that middle range, you're pretty good. You usually don't get big advances or anything like that. And I felt my book was very timely. There's a lot of people interested in the 2012. A lot of people are interested in, end of times, Christ's return, things of that nature. And, I wanted, I wanted to get it out before that. And a lot of times with regular publishing houses, it can be years before you can get it out. And another really key thing is, I want to do whatever I want to do with this book.
Okay.
I want to be able to go to the Piggly Wiggly and have a book signing. I want to be able to maintain the movie rights to this book. I want to be able to, do anything I want to do with it. Like, for instance, the video, the book trailer video. We're entering that in a short film. A short film contest. You can't do that when you publish with a regular publishing house because they have to clear everything you do.
Probably so many restrictions.
Exactly. To get anything done, you have to clear it through them, And so I wanted to do my own marketing. I have and this isn't a solitary thing. My family, my friends have all been behind me, and we've all worked together to do this. So self-publishing is easier than it has ever been. It cost me $25 to publish this book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's only because I wanted extended distribution. I wanted to be able to, when I decided to make it available in major bookstores, libraries, things of that nature. And it cost $25 to do that. Otherwise, it's free to publish on CreateSpace, which is the self-publishing I used.
To get the book printed, did you have to have a minimum copies printed?
You do not.
Really?
Gone are the days of buying 1,000 books and putting them in your garage and selling them one at a time. With computers now, you can. It's called POD, print on demand. And literally, when you place an order on Amazon, they take you that one book and they print that one book and they send it out.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that the most fascinating thing? So, and that was why I was at the nursing home. I wanted to meet with the residents of the nursing home, because you can literally write down your memoir, write down your memories, just your memories, like for your family, for future generations, because they don't care what you print. You could print a book that's just got 1,000 empty pages and the word in there, but literally you could just take your grandmother's memories, you could type them out, you could upload it to CreateSpace. It doesn't cost you anything, and you could print books for your family.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just think that is just that changes the world. It really does.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of people like my father's generation, they're going to be gone, and with them, their memories and all these treasures they have, all these wonderful stories they have, are going to be gone. And so I wanted to encourage the residents to record their memories and get them down, So it was really, really an honor for me to be there.
Yeah.
I was there on Monday.
Now, what do you and Joseph do in the real world?
I'm an office manager for a group of people who recruit financial advisors, and Joseph's an engineer. He makes airplane parts. He's been there for 27 years, so so that's what we do for a living.
How about children?
Yeah.
Oh, we have. I'm going to have to say we have 5 children.
Okay.
We have 4 children: Miles, Tyler, Erica, and Joey. But then we also have Kylie, who's kind of our little adopted daughter. It's Erica's best friend, and she's part of the family. So she's here with us now. She loves the South. She'll probably end up coming with us before any of them do.
Well, very good. So you've traveled with the family. So is this kind of like a little vacation for you?
It is. We came down to see my daddy. He's in a nursing home. He's in Hansville Nursing Home. My mother's also here, and so we wanted to visit with her, maybe talk her into going back with us to New York for a little while, and just see my brother and my sister-in-law and all my nieces and nephews and visit with family. And so we just combined this. We drove down here and, and we're calling our Southern Book Tour. And it has been that. It has been. It's been great.
It has been, definitely.
Yeah.
So are you excited about the reception that you're getting when you go places? And
it has been, I am telling you, it's been unbelievable. Unbelievable. I thought, well, I'll sell a few books, but we have, when we were at the Hansville Nursing Home, of course, we gave books to the residents. I could not charge them for, you can't charge those sweet people for a book, but the staff and the community, we sold an entire case of books at Hansville Nursing Home. I have never, ever seen such an outpouring of the community, and it just touches my heart so much, because it's so great to come home and get that kind of reception and get people just, supporting you.
Was your husband surprised?
No, he's been around my family for quite a while now. So he told me, he said nothing like this could ever happen in New York. And I said, you're absolutely right, because here it's different. People are different, and they
really are.
Yeah, and they rally around their own, and they support. You know, it feels great to be the local girl who came, who's came back, and if they don't feel like I really ever left, but it's always home to me. And
well, we are going
something
to
about the moment when you first walk into that new home. It took a lot to get there, but Eva Bank made it easy to get the loan you needed. Eva Bank, as a part of the community, makes lending decisions right here where you live. Our lenders make the process quick and easy with rates you'll love. Visit your neighbors at Eva Bank today and let them help you with your new home loan, manufactured home, refinance, or remodel. Eva Bank, part of the community we call home.
Life lived in black and white is not a life lived. Today, I choose color. To see it. To feel it. To be in it. To be upon it. And to live a life surrounded by it. Today, I put on a fresh coat.
At Premier Bank, we are very proud of the long-lasting relationships we have with our customers. We'll go almost anywhere to meet your banking needs.
Community billboards are brought to you by Pepsi and Cullman Jefferson Gas. A masquerade jewelry sale for $5 will be going on today from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Friday, September 14th from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Proceeds benefit Hospice of Cullman County. The third Saturday night dance for adults of all ages will be September 15th from 7 to 10, featuring the Fairlanes, and this will be at the Donald E. Green Senior Center, and for more information you can call Angie Yockham at 734-4803. The Girlfriend Gala, sponsored by United Way of Cullman, will be Thursday, September 27th from 6 to 9 p.m. Tickets are $50 and it's at Stonebridge Farm. Community billboards are brought to you by Pepsi and Cullman Jefferson Gas. If you'd like to email us a billboard, you can do that. Send it to channel2cullman@gmail.com. Fax it to us, 734-7680, or friend us on Facebook, Channel 2 Cullman.
The weather forecast for today, partly cloudy, high of 84, partly cloudy tonight, low of 61, partly sunny, slight chance of an afternoon shower tomorrow with a high near 82. And coming up tomorrow, Friday, that's politics on Today on 2. Who's our guest?
We have the Mayor of Good Hope, Corey Harbison, coming on to speak to us.
Corey will have a lot to talk about and what's going on at Good Hope tomorrow. Thank you for watching Today on 2.
Have a great day. Let me go check that email for...
Hello, and welcome to Power Perspective with your host, the pastor of Faith Baptist Church, Dr. Jeff Steele. Power Perspective is the television ministry of Faith Baptist Church on Highway 31 in Beaumont, Alabama. If church as usual is just not enough for you anymore, and you are seeking more from your Christian experience, then we invite you to visit with us here at Faith Baptist Church and have your faith lifted. It's exciting. It's different, and it's alive with the Spirit of God. We do invite you to be with us soon. Our Sunday services are 10 a.m. for Sunday school, 11 a.m. for morning worship, 6 p.m. for evening services, and 7 p.m. for Wednesday services. If you need more information or directions to our church, call our church office at 256-734-7307 or go to Brother Jeff's website at jeffrsteele.com. Also, our services are streamed live at jeffrsteele.com. And now, for the Power Perspective program, here's Brother Jeff.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Power Perspective, the telecast ministry of Faith Baptist Church. I'm Jeff Steele, the pastor here at Faith, and your host for the program. Settle back and enjoy the next 30 minutes as we worship God together. Going to get things started with our recent music program here at Faith. Our choir's going to sing, the Steels are going to sing, and we're going to get you warmed up for what I believe is going to be a message directed especially to your heart. Here now we take you into the service for music gospel style.
His mercy endureth forever and ever to all generations. So I will stand up and sing praise, hallelujah, for I know the Lord is good.
He reached down and touched me when I was so low. I could not get up or go down any farther. My sins, which were many, He forgave and forgot them. Oh, I know the Lord is good.
The Lord is good. His mercy endureth forever and ever to all generations. So I will stand up and sing praise, hallelujah, for I know the Lord is good.
I was sick in my body, I could not get well. The doctors had told all they could tell.
But then the great physician passed by my way. Oh, I know the Lord is good. The Lord is good. His mercy endureth forever and ever to all generations. So I will stand up and sing praise, hallelujah, for I know the Lord is good. The Lord is good. His mercy endureth forever and ever to all generations. So I will stand up and sing praise, hallelujah, for I know the Lord is good. The Lord is Praise Him today, church. Praise Him today, church, for all His mighty acts and all His amazing works. For reasons to praise His name, you don't even have to search. He's good, He's God, and that's enough. Praise Him today, church.
Well, I've been in the fight all day. Things got a little bit rough. So I picked up my Bible and said, devil, that's enough. God inhabits our praise, and there's power in what we say. And as long as I've got life and breath, no rock's gonna take my place.
Praise Him today, church. Praise Him today, church, for all His mighty acts and all His amazing works. For reasons to praise His name, we don't even have to search. He's good, He's God, and that's enough. Praise Him today, church. Him today, praise Him today, church, for all His mighty acts and all His amazing works. Reasons to praise His name, you don't even have to search. He's good, He's God, and that's enough. Praise Him today, church.
Yeah, He's good.
He's God, and that's enough. Praise Him today, church.
Well, I hope you enjoyed all that, and I hope you enjoyed the message. We're dealing with the appearance of Jesus before Herod today. Herod, you know, the one that said, show me a sign, say something intriguing, do a show, and Jesus never said a word. I take you now live into that message preached just this past week here at Faith Baptist Church. What a story of that day's politics and our day's politics. Now, Pilate was the commensurate and proverbial politician. He did not ever want to be present when there was an important decision being made. You know, I'm shocked today, not so much at the number of difficult votes that our politicians are asked to be involved in our modern day politics. I'm shocked at the number of times when a vote is especially important to the modern day jurisdiction that they're over, their district, their area, their state. How many times, if you'll go through the congressional record, you'll find out that important politicians you know about, you know their names, they simply abstained from voting. They were not present on the day or at the time when the important vote for their people was being made. I get that about politicians. I understand them. They just don't want to be held responsible. They just don't want to be accountable when important decisions are made. And yet, wasn't that the reason we elected them in the first place? Was to go to Washington or go to the state capitol or to go wherever votes are made and be present and accounted for when important votes are taken and when important decisions are made. And yet our politicians, like Pilate of old, they just don't want to be there when the important decisions are being made. You know what I think? I think this is the United States of America. And I think we are an understanding enough people that if our politicians will just be present and accounted for on the day when an important vote is taken or decision is made, if they choose wrong, if they make the wrong decision, and then will man up or woman up to it and say, I own this, I made a mistake, I made the wrong decision, we're going in the wrong direction. Any politician who would stand up in front of the people who elected them and say, my bad, I blew it, I take responsibility and I own this. I believe in the United States of America, we are a forgiving enough people that we will stand by them and say, okay, you blew it, now let's fix this together. If our politicians would just own their mistakes, belly up to the bar and say, okay, I blew it, what are we going to do now? I really think our people would get that. And yet, as evidence of the fact that we live in the kind of world that Pilate was governing in, our guys want to stand up and say how responsible they are, how much they do on their mistakes, and yet we live in a country where, as big as our budget should be in the United States of America, we live in a nation where we've elected a Senate filled with people who for over 3 years now have operated with no budget because they can't make up their minds on how to develop a budget. Let me say this, you can't run your house like this. We can't run this church like that. We can't run this county like that. We can't run the city of Cullman like that. We can't run the state of Alabama like that. And we sure can't run the United States with a bunch of politicians in Washington who can't even so much as come up with a budget for how they're going to operate for the next year. And we've done it for over 3 years now. No budget. Pilate was that kind of politician. Didn't want to be present on the day when a decision was made. Didn't want to be held accountable for the results of whatever happened. Politicians are like that. They're blame shifters. Blame shifting's been going on a long time. God showed up in the Garden of Eden and said, Adam, what happened? Adam says, the woman you gave me. So God says, woman, what happened? The woman says, the snake you put in the garden with us. It's been going on ever since then, and it's running rampant in the political halls of our local and state and federal government. Wasn't my fault, it's the guy before me. That's the reason we're in so much trouble. Fellow before me blew it. That's why we can't seem to get anything straight. Blame shifting in politics. Pilate was like that. He was a blame shifter. He said, listen, I've surveyed the guy's record, Jesus. I don't find any fault in this man. But when he said that, those that had brought him there to be tried got even madder at Jesus. Started screaming even more accusations at Jesus. And Pilate suddenly realized, you know what, I'm not going to get out of this thing so easy. I can't just wave the white flag and say, I personally find no fault in this man. We're not going to be able to get by this by just making that kind of statement. He was the kind of politician who didn't want to be guilty of crucifying Jesus, but he didn't want to be guilty of standing in the way of the ones that did want to crucify him either. So he just shifted the responsibility. When he heard through the grapevine that Jesus was a Galilean, he said, my goodness, here's my chance. He said, I'm going to send him to Herod. He's not under my jurisdiction anyway. I can abstain from this vote. I don't have to be here when this decision is made. I'm sending him to Herod, and he did. And the Bible says that when Herod got wind of the fact that Jesus was coming to be tried in front of him, he got all excited because he'd heard about him. Heard about his miracles, heard about his wonders, heard about all the things that he'd done. He relished the idea of Jesus Christ coming before him. Let me read you something. Jesus, you won't believe the hit you've made around here. You're all we talk about, the wonder of the year. Oh, what a pity if it's all a lie. Still, I'm sure that you could rock the cynics if you tried. So you're the Christ, the great Jesus Christ. Prove to me that you're no fool. Walk across my swimming pool. If you do that for me, then I'll let you go free. Come on, King of the Jews. Those are the lyrics to Herod's song from the Broadway musical Jesus Christ Superstar. Herod had heard about all the miracles. He'd heard dead people have come back to life. Crippled people have been restored to health. He has turned water into wine. I mean, this guy's something else, and I'm excited about that. I've got to see a miracle. And Herod begins to demand of Jesus when he's brought to his place to be tried, man, I want to see you do something. Stand on your head. Do something. Snap your fingers and make something happen. Do you know when Roger Clemens, the baseball pitcher, he was to testify before Congress on some crimes for which he had been accused. You know when I knew he was going to be acquitted? When he showed up at Congress to testify, and as many of the politicians wanted his autograph as wanted to hear his testimony. We're not going to convict somebody whose autograph we're seeking. We're not going to convict somebody who we think is a hero, who we think is a big deal. We're not going to convict that person. I knew Roger Clemens was not going to be convicted. So here's Herod. Man, I want to see you do something. I want to see a trick, pull a miracle, pull a rabbit out of a hat. This is the same Herod, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, same guy who used to love to hear John the Baptist preach. John the Baptist would be arrested. He'd be put in Herod's prison, and Herod would leave the throne, go into the basement of the prison to hear John the Baptist preach. Loved to hear him preach. Couldn't wait for John the Baptist to be taken captive again so he could hear more of his preaching. This Herod, this same guy, loved to hear John the Baptist preach. Until one day, John the Baptist preached a message that got on Herod's toes. John the Baptist preached a message that spoke specifically to the problems in Herod's life. And then, because it wasn't a church, it was a prison, and they couldn't just vote him out, Herod had his head chopped off. But he wanted a miracle. And there stands Jesus before Herod, and Herod demands of him that he produce something miraculous. And the Bible says in our text when pressed to do something great, some kind of miracle, Jesus said nothing. Not one word. He said nothing. Herod said, man, walk on my swimming pool, turn water into wine, I'll turn you loose, just do something. I want to see something. I want to be entertained. Jesus said nothing. And Herod was disappointed. But the truth be told, I wonder how many of us are the same way. We're disappointed when Jesus doesn't do something for us, when Jesus doesn't entertain us, when Jesus doesn't tickle our fancy. Here's the one thing we share, many of us, in common with Herod. We want to see a miracle, but we sure don't want to hear the message. We don't want to hear what he has to say. We just want to see what he can do. Herod said, I want to see the demonstration of your miracles. Forget the message. I don't care if you say anything, just do something. That's like many in the modern church today. The only problem is, the only difference is, many times today it's the church that's pushing that kind of idea. How many times have you heard somebody say it? How many times have you said it yourself? Oh, I'm going to church today. Man, we went to church today. It was great. Jesus showed up and he showed out. Really? So what interested you more? The message, Herod, or the miracle? By the time he came before Herod, his fame had been spread throughout the entire region, and yet he remains silent. Herod says, snap your fingers, twitch your nose, do something. I want to see a miracle. Everybody knows this verse, don't they? Matthew chapter 7, verse 1. Judge not, lest you be judged. For whatsoever judgment you mete out to another, the same judgment is going to be measured unto you. We all know that verse. And those that want to retain the right to judge others, those who want to retain the right to see the speck in others' eyes, ignoring the beam or the log in their own, they always point to the end of Matthew chapter 7, where Jesus said, don't cast your pearls before swine, don't give that which is holy unto the dogs. And they say, see there? He said don't judge here, but then he said, don't do this over here. In other words, they say, he said it was okay to judge. That's two completely different things. Jesus still wants us to refrain from speck finding in somebody else's eye while we ignore the log in our own eye. But what he's saying at the end of Matthew chapter 7, where he says, don't give that which is holy to the dogs, don't cast your pearls before swine. He's saying you need to know the difference between somebody who will be and can be receptive to the gospel message and somebody who's not. We spend so much of our lives in the church trying to argue our faith, trying to argue our point, trying to prove what we believe. Folks, listen, if Jesus had preached the Sermon on the Mount to Herod, if when he said, do something, he stood there and said, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. If he had preached the Sermon on the Mount, would it have done any good? Would Herod have gotten saved if Jesus had done that? No. And there's some people who you are investing so much time and so much energy in, and you already know it. Deep in your heart, you already know it. They're not going to ever be receptive to the gospel. And what Jesus is saying at the end of Matthew chapter 7 is, pull back. Don't invest all of your time in this person who is never going to get right. You are never going to argue somebody into a belief in Christ. You are never going to win that argument with the facts and the figures. You are never going to win that argument. If Jesus had spoken, it would have been a waste of words, because he would have been casting that which was holy to the dogs. He wanted a miracle. He didn't want a message. Herod didn't. How many of us today want a miracle and we could care less about the message? So let me pose this quick question. When does Jesus shut up? When does Jesus not taught today? When does he not visit us with his presence? When does he not visit us with his word, like he did Herod, said not a word? When does that happen to us? Well, John chapter 6 tells the story about where Jesus blessed the food and distributed it and fed 5,000. Now we know if we put the arithmetic to it, he fed more than 5,000, but it's commonly referred to as the feeding of the 5,000. He fed all those thousands of people, and what was their response? Immediately, they pressed toward him to make him a king. Immediately, this group of people who had just witnessed this miracle of the feeding of the 5,000, they pressed on him to make him a king. To make him a king of what? King of the kitchen? King of the grease basket where the French fries were cooked? King of the bakery? King of whatever it is that's going to fill their bellies? King of whatever it is that's going to make them feel good? And what happened? They wanted to make him a king. They saw the miracle and wanted to make him a king. The Bible says in John chapter 6, Jesus withdrew from them, went into a mountain alone to pray. That's when Jesus doesn't speak. That's when Jesus doesn't visit us any longer with his presence. When we want to make him a king to make us feel good. We don't want the message, we want the miracle. We don't want his presence, we want the show. And when the show comes, we want more of the show. It doesn't make us want to receive the message, it makes us want even more of the show. Did you know there's only one time in the entire Bible, only once, where the Bible says Jesus became angry? Now, I know what you think. You think it's that day when he took the whip and chased the money changers out of the temple, but he wasn't angry then. He was brokenhearted then. But there's one place, only one specifically, where the scripture says Jesus was angry. And this may blow your mind. It doesn't blow mine. I've been around church all my life. Only place he ever got angry was in church. Mark chapter 3 tells the story of Jesus. He went to church, and there, sitting against the wall by himself, was a man with a withered hand. He had a nub for one of his arms. That's it. That's all he had. In other words, here's a guy who looks different than everybody else. Here's a guy who can't do what everybody else can do. Here's a guy that's ostracized by everybody because of the way he looks, because of his physical disability, because of his special problem. In his case, we know what it was. He was a man with a withered hand. And they'd ostracized him, put him off by himself. Jesus walked in, and the scripture says that the Pharisees, the religious big shots, were sitting there watching Jesus and watching the man with the withered hand. The guy with the problem, the guy with the disability, the guy that was different, the guy that looked different, the guy that in fact was different. They were watching him too. You know why they were watching him? Because they wanted to see whether Jesus would heal him on the Sabbath day. But let's get down to brass tacks. It's about more than the Sabbath day. They wanted to make sure that religious crowd, the Pharisees, the religious big shots, the leaders, they wanted to make sure that every I in their book was dotted, every T in their book was crossed. They wanted to make sure that every rule and every regulation was followed. They wanted to make sure that everything that they had held up as what was right to do, they wanted to make sure it was done. And the Bible says at that point, when Jesus perceived their hearts, when Jesus perceived that their religion was more important to them than doing right by somebody who was different, when Jesus perceived that their wanting to keep the rules and regulations was more important, their T crossing and I dotting was more important to them than helping somebody in trouble, when he perceived that was their attitude, he was angry. Mark chapter 3 and verse 5. You can check it when you get home. He was angry when he perceived that their heart was more about keeping the rules and keeping the regulations and making sure the part that was underlined was still underlined and making sure every I was dotted, every T was crossed. When he perceived that was their heart, he was angry. And then, the Bible says, walked over to where the different man, the man with the crippled arm, the man that needed a touch. Because you know what that man needed more than he needed a new arm? He needed somebody in that church to just walk over and say, man, we love you. Man, we want to embrace you. What can we do for you? How can we help you? That's what he really needed, but he wasn't getting that. Now he has a chance to get his arm back, and they're watching to see if Jesus breaks the rules, breaks the regulations, because he's not supposed to do that on the Sabbath. And Jesus healed the man, grew him a new arm out of his torso, grew him a new arm. And to prove to you that he had their hearts pegged right, do you know what their response was to a man that had a problem getting his problem fixed? To a man that was disabled, is disabled no longer? To a man who was different, who's now not different anymore? Here was their how they came to their opinion at the end of the day. The scripture says, they gathered together to find more ways to destroy Jesus. You know what the message was that day? Do we want the miracle or do we want the message? Here was the message that day. Jesus Christ said, I've read your book of rules and regulations. I've read your book of do's and don'ts. I'm here to tell you, here's the message. There's never a wrong time to do the right thing. There's never a bad time for the broken to be fixed. There's never a day that rolls when the branch of peace should not be extended. There's never a bad time to do the right thing. Well, the clock on the wall says that's all. We are out of time. Invite you to come worship with us at Faith this weekend, 11 o'clock Sunday morning, 6 o'clock Sunday night, and 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. Faith Baptist Church is located on Highway 31 North in the Vinemont community. We're kind of right next door to Monk's Carpet. We'd invite you to come anytime. If you need directions or any kind of information to Faith Baptist Church, you call us at 256-734-7307. And until next time, remember to pray for me because I am praying for you.
Thank you for tuning in to Power Perspective. Power Perspective is the television ministry of Faith Baptist Church on Highway 31 in Vinemont, Alabama. We do invite you to be with us soon. Our Sunday services are 10 a.m. for Sunday school, 11 a.m. for morning worship, 6 p.m. for evening services, and 7 p.m. for Wednesday services. If you need more information or directions to our church, call our church office at 256-734-7307 or go to Brother Jeff's website at jeffrsteele.com. Also, our services are streamed live at jeffrsteele.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and be sure to join us again next week for another edition of Power Perspective with the pastor of Faith Baptist Church, Dr. Jeff Steele.